And my job as someone who believes deeply in the public sector is to ensure that we're delivering public excellence. And that means every dollar that we raise, I want to be able to prove to you that it's every dollar that's being well spent. That's the relationship there. And I do have to say, even though we have a disagreement on tax policy, every time I get a death threat, I still listen to many.
Republicans actively protect pedophiles.
D.L. Hughley just went off on 50 Cent. And honestly, he didn't lie one bit. People online are losing it because DL finally said what a lot of folks have been thinking for years. He's sick of seeing rich celebrities talk like they're still for the people. Yet the second someone pushes a policy that could actually help regular folks, they freak out. So here's what kicked it all off.
The working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands. Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands.
Zohran Mamdani just got elected as the new mayor of New York City, the city's first Muslim mayor ever, and one of the most progressive candidates the city's ever seen. But the man hasn't even moved into City Hall yet, and 50 Cent is already online acting like New York is done for.
Here's what's interesting to me. So Mamdani is going to be the new mayor of New York, a 34-year-old kid. Like I said, I live in New York. I couldn't vote in that election, but if I could, it would have been an easy choice.
Now DL is out here firing warning shots straight at 50 and exposing him for the fake he is. This whole thing got messy fast. It started right after Zohran Mamdani made history. His campaign focused on rent freezes, affordable housing, and free public transit. Plans meant to make life easier for working people instead of catering to billionaires. And that's exactly the kind of talk that has 50 Cent losing his mind.
But here's what I really don't understand. The man who is actively trying to use hunger to get his political way, saying that people won't have food.
The moment Mamdani won, 50 jumped online with full drama mode. He posted an image of a tombstone reading RIP NYC, with 2025 listed as the city's year of death. Then he shared a dinner photo with his crew and captioned it, "Escape from New York. Hit the road. All roads lead to Shreveport." He's talking about Shreveport, Louisiana, where he's been building a massive film and entertainment hub through G-Unit Film and Television. He's leased studio space, announced a $50 million entertainment district, and is branding Shreveport as the new center of his business empire. Basically saying, if you want to work with him, pack your bags for Louisiana. But D.L. Hughley wasn't impressed one bit.
Unless they do his political bidding. It's saying that the man who wants to make rent cheaper, public transportation cheaper, and food cheaper is the one who is ruining in America. So the man who wants to starve you to get what he wants thinks that the dude who wants to feed you, house you, and get you, make you able to get around cheaper is the horrible one. That tells you everything you need to know about where we are.
He clapped back saying he's tired of people like 50 who came from the struggle, now crying about policies that are actually meant to help the same people they used to be. And he didn't stop there. He called out the hypocrisy loud and clear. See, Mamdani's tax plan raises income tax by just 2% for people making over $1 million a year and bumps corporate tax to around 11.5%. He also plans to fix that broken property tax system that lets luxury penthouses pay less than some homes in the Bronx. He even talked about shifting some tax burden from working-class areas to high-end neighborhoods like Central Park South. But instead of applauding it, 50 acted like New York was finished forever, and the internet ate him alive. The comments were brutal. People were calling him a sellout and a hypocrite who forgot where he came from. One person wrote, "Guy who sold crack to his community suddenly cares about their well-being." Another said, "Your grandma was on food stamps." Someone else reminded him that when he was shot 9 times, his hospital bills were paid by taxpayer-funded programs. The shade was relentless.
I would say to you, 50, if you are indeed watching, or anyone else who's watching this show, is I continue to think that having the top 1% of New York City, or making more than $1 million a year, having them pay 2% more for an economic agenda that would transform every New Yorker's life, including their own, is something that is worthwhile. I have to say, even though we have a disagreement on tax policy, every time I get a death threat, I still listen to Many Men. It's true.
Well, you take Many Men for motivation. I was going to say your answer sounds a little bit like clickety clank, the money goes into my piggy bank.
Wow.
And if we had more time, we'd do more 50.
And that's when D.L. Hughley decided to drop his message straight at 50. DL said it's wild to see people like 50 who came from the struggle now crying over policies designed to help the same folks they used to be. He pointed out how these rich celebs had nothing to say when Trump was cutting food stamps and using hunger as a weapon, but now they want to fearmonger about a mayor trying to lift people up. Then Mayor Mamdani himself stepped in and clapped back. After 50 said he'd pay him $285,750 to leave NYC, Mamdani laughed and said that 50 clearly doesn't understand how taxing the 1% earners would benefit everyone. That one line went viral. People were loving how calm and confident he was while 50 kept spiraling. But of course, 50 couldn't leave it alone. He posted Mamdani's response on Instagram and captioned it. I think his intentions are good, but his tax plan is going to run the big money out of the city. And if he defund the police, they are going to purge. All roads lead to Shreveport. The moment he hit post, that caption blew up. Here's the thing, though. What 50 did there is straight class fear tactic. Rich people have been pulling that same move forever. Every time someone mentions higher taxes, they start screaming about leaving the city. New York has heard that line since the 1970s, but they almost never go anywhere because they know where the money is. The real money is in New York. Need proof? Look at billionaire Bill Ackman. He spent months trashing Mamdani during the campaign, posting racist stuff, calling him a radical, and saying he'd move to Florida if Mamdani won. But the second Mamdani actually won, Ackman tweeted, "Zohran Mamdani, congrats on the win. Now you have a big responsibility. If I can help NYC, just let me know what I can do." Wild, right? So what happened to packing his bags for Florida? Now suddenly he's offering to help the guy he dragged for months. That right there shows how fake this whole "we're leaving" talk is. They never leave because their companies, their connections, their deals, it's all rooted in New York. They need the city more than the city needs them. So they bluff to scare people before elections or to pressure politicians into backing off. And when that fails, they flip the script and act like they were supportive all along. And that pattern is exactly what D.L. Hughley was exposing. Because every time you threaten even a fraction of their wealth, they pretend to care about the working class to mask their own fear. It's always the same playbook. Now, about that defund the police part 50 kept pushing. That's not even true. Mamdani never said he would completely defund law enforcement. What he said was he'd rebalance the budget, put more money into housing, mental health care, and community programs instead of just throwing millions at a department that still can't stop crime before it happens. That's not a purge. That's common sense. Cities that invest in people end up with less crime, it's proven. While 50 is busy fear posting about the rich fleeing and New York collapsing, the only people benefiting from that fear are the ones already sitting at the top. Because while regular New Yorkers are worried about paying rent and catching the train, 50's worried about a tax hike he can easily afford from his house in Houston. And that's exactly the disconnect DL was talking about. He was calling out that moment when someone who built their name on get rich or die trying suddenly acts like the problem is poor people trying to live. It's a sad reversal, and DL is making sure no one misses that point. Now here's where things get even deeper. Because this whole situation between D.L. Hughley, 50 Cent, and Zohran Mamdani isn't just about one celebrity throwing shade. It's about an entire system getting exposed. Every time progress threatens the comfort of the rich, they panic and start spreading fear. They start talking like the city's collapsing when really they're just afraid of having to give back even a tiny piece of what they've taken. And that's what D.L. Hughley was calling out loud and clear. He wasn't just coming for 50. He was talking about all the millionaires and billionaires who cry doom whenever fairness enters the conversation. He reminded everyone that New York has survived way worse than a fair tax plan. It's survived blackouts, recessions, pandemics, even bankruptcies, and it's still the heart of hustle. So why is it that every time a mayor tries to help working people, the rich start acting like the apocalypse is here? DL said it perfectly. It's wild to see people who came from the bottom forget what it felt like to struggle. That line hit the internet like thunder. Because let's be honest, 50's story has always been about survival, about making it out of the grind. But the second he hit billionaire status, that for the people energy disappeared. He's out here worried about millionaire taxes, while folks in Queens are worried about rent. And you can see the double standard everywhere. When billionaires get massive tax breaks, nobody says a word. But when a mayor like Mamdani wants to raise the rate on millionaires by 2%, suddenly everyone's talking about the death of the city. Come on, it's a joke. New York isn't dying, it's just shifting the balance a little, and the people who've been on top too long don't like it. Let's take it back to Bill Ackman for a second, because that man's about face tells you everything you need to know. One week he's swearing he'll leave the city if Mamdani wins. The next week he's congratulating him and offering to help. That's what happens when the bluff gets called, because deep down, they know they're not going anywhere. Their money, their influence, their businesses, all tied to New York. They can talk about leaving all they want, but when it's time to cash checks, they're still right there on Wall Street, and Hughley didn't stop hammering that point. He said that all this rich people will flee talk is a lie meant to scare regular folks into protecting the wealthy. He called it trickle-down fear, and that phrase took off online. People were reposting it everywhere saying, DL just invented a new term for what billionaires do. And he's right. The only thing that's ever trickled down from the top is fear and excuses, not money. Meanwhile, Zohran Mamdani just kept his cool. He didn't take the bait. He didn't go on a rant. He just stuck to his message. That fairness isn't a punishment, it's a correction. He kept saying, this is about making sure the city works for everyone, not just the top 1%. And honestly, that's what leadership looks like, and staying calm when everyone else is losing it. But 50 wasn't ready to let go. He doubled down again on Instagram saying, I think his intentions are good, but his tax plan will run the big money out of the city. He even added, if he defund the police, they are gonna purge. All roads lead to Shreveport. That post was pure fear talk, like he was trying to spark panic. But instead of backing him up, people called him out again. Comments were filled with lines like, bro, you're rich. Why are you scared of paying a fair share? And you made millions off the same city you're disrespecting. And the funniest part? People noticed how 50's Escape from New York campaign just happened to line up perfectly with his new Shreveport project. So, while he's out here pretending to be scared for the city, he's really just promoting his new business move. Fans were calling it out saying, this ain't activism, it's advertising. D.L. Hughley caught that too. He said this whole situation shows how fast some celebs will flip something real, like people's fear, into free publicity. He called it capitalism dressed as concern. Another line that went viral instantly. You could tell DL was done holding back. And honestly, he's not wrong. The rich have been using the same playbook for decades. Every time someone suggests taxing the wealthy or funding public programs, they cry economic collapse. But the truth is they never collapse. They adapt, they profit, and the city keeps moving. It's the working people who actually hold it all together, not the billionaires. DL even brought up history, reminding everyone that New York's always had the same kind of people crying about change, from the landlords who hated rent control to the bankers who said Wall Street would die after every regulation. Guess what? They all stayed, and they all kept getting richer. So when 50 Cent says RIP New York, he's not predicting the city's death. He's exposing how out of touch he's become. The city that made him rich is still alive, still hustling, still full of people doing what he used to rap about, surviving and thriving no matter what. That's what makes DL's call out so powerful. He's not just throwing shade. He's reminding everyone that you can't forget the struggle that made you who you are. You can't build your empire off the backs of the poor, then turn around and mock them when they finally get a leader who wants to make life a little easier. And at the core of all this, it's not even about money. It's about loyalty. Loyalty to where you came from, to the people who supported you before the fame. That's what folks mean when they say 50 forgot where he came from. Because it's not about paying taxes, it's about remembering community. Meanwhile, DL's comments turned into a movement. Fans started flooding social media with messages like DL speaking for the people. We need more truth like this, and finally, someone said it. It turned from celebrity drama into a bigger conversation about how the rich treat the poor. And it's crazy because 50 Cent could have easily stayed quiet and still looked like a boss. But instead, he made himself the face of everything people are tired of. Rich folks crying victim, while sitting on luxury properties in other states. It's wild how fast public opinion flipped on him. In the end, this whole thing isn't just about 50, DL, or even Momani. It's about a pattern. The same pattern that's been going on forever. The moment someone tries to level the playing field, the rich start fear-mongering. They act like progress is dangerous, like equality is chaos. But real chaos is when people work 60 hours a week and still can't afford rent while billionaires cry about a 2% tax increase. And as for 50 saying Momani will defund the police, that's pure misinformation. Momani's plan is about balance, putting more funding into what actually prevents crime, housing, education, and community care. That's not anti-police, that's pro-safety. But people like 50 love to twist it into something scary because fear gets attention. DL Hughley exposed that, and that's why people respected him for speaking up. Because at the end of the day, someone had to say it. These rich folks don't care about losing the city. They care about losing control. So while 50's busy posting memes about New York being dead, the city's still pulsing with energy, the people are still grinding, still creating, still surviving, just like always. The lights are still on, the trains are still running, the music's still playing, and life goes on. Because no matter how much money leaves, the soul of New York never does. And maybe that's the part that scares them the most, that New York doesn't need their approval to shine. So now let's flip it to you. What do you think? Is 50 Cent right that Zohran Mamdani's plan will ruin New York, or is he just another rich guy who lost touch the second he got rich? Drop your thoughts below because this debate is far from over. And don't forget, hit that like, share, and subscribe button if you enjoyed this breakdown. Leave your opinions in the comments because I want to hear what you think about all this. And trust me, the next story I've got for you is even crazier. It's gonna shake up the internet all over again. See you on the next one.